Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories, and I'm going to share one with y'all today. If you happen to like the story, definitely be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Also, if you like to binge watch and want to catch up on some of my older stories, and I definitely got some great ones, go to my YouTube playlist and you will see that my stories are organized into different categories. Now let's hop right up into this story. Now this story takes place around 1994. This is one of my county jail stories. So originally I was arrested in the city of Fontana. I was sent to Riverside County. After a couple of fights and stuff, I got moved to another county jail located in the Riverside County jail system known as Murrieta. Now, so when I got to Murrieta, I was originally put into a dormitory, a lot of like a army barracks type thing with a lot of bunk beds and stuff like that. Excuse me, going through a little cold. So I'm in there a few months or whatever, and we ended up getting into a riot with the Pisces up in there. Check that video out too, man. That's a county jail riot with the blacks and Pisces. So a day or two after the riot, the guards come up in there around 12 o'clock. They call my last name. They call another dude's last name by the name of Stutterbox. Stutterbox happened to be from Pomona, Angelo Mafia Crip. So they called us, told us basically that, a lot of kites had been dropped on us saying that we was the cause of the problem or whatever, and we had to leave, you know what I'm saying? And so they took us to another part of the jail. I believe it was D-Pod. So now, when you walk down the hallway and you enter D-Pod, it's like something that you might see on 60 Days In. You have a guard sitting there in a cubicle with a big old glass, like he's in a little bubble, big old glass thing going around it. It's tinted, he got the control booth and stuff up in there, and you have three different pods. So I believe it was A section, B section, and C section. And so he got this big old partition, and he can look through the clear windows and monitor each section. So they put me in section 1. They put Stutterbox in section 3. So, I go in there, I get situated or whatever. So like the next day, I would say maybe about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, all of a sudden there's a little altercation and an issue arises. And so now there's a standoff with the blacks and the Southsiders up in there. And so what I believe it was a black dude who was relatively new up in there, and he had been sitting on the phone for a long time. And so the difference between the phones in the county jail and the phones in the prison have a 15-minute timer. The phones in the county jail didn't have a timer, right? And so basically, I believe the Southsider had the phone after this dude, and he was being inconsiderate in regards to the amount of time that he was spending on the phone. And so when the Southsider said something to it a time or two, the Southsider didn't like the way the dude responded, and so that's what the issue was about, right? And so, as we sitting over there, huddling up, you got a black dude who had been in there for a while talking to one of the Southsiders. They had moved themselves maybe about 5 or 10 feet away from the crowd, but you got everybody sitting there to see what's going on. One black dude happens to look and see it's another dude over there. He's sitting maybe about 4 or 5 tables away. He's not over there standing with with all the blacks. So dude called out to him and said, "Hey Dennis, what's going on, man? What's up?" And Dennis said, "Oh man, yeah, y'all got it." Basically, like, y'all got everything under control, and I ain't tripping. And so a few minutes later, Dennis walked into his cell. Now, the reason why I happen to remember this dude's name, he had the exact same name as a good friend of mine in Montana. And so you had the black dude who had been in there for a while, have a discussion with the Southsider dude. And so eventually, everything got resolved. Everybody went back to doing what they was doing. So as you know, everybody returned to normal program and playing dominoes and stuff. You had a few dudes start saying, "Hey man, did you see how when we called? First of all, Dennis wasn't even over here, and then when we called the dude to come over here, he was basically like, 'Hey man, y'all got it. I ain't tripping.' And then on top of that, he ended up going up in his cell and closing the door before the situation was resolved, which was an extreme no-no for a few reasons. For one, Dennis was probably about, I would say maybe about 37. He was maybe about 6'1", maybe about 195 pounds, 200, kind of a slim but a muscular build. He had some nice size on him. And he used to kind of walk away. He used to kind of walk around there, as I later learned, like he was one of the dudes in control of the blacks up in there. He said he had been to the pen a time or two. And so he acted like he was, he was a bigger dude, right? In terms of his status. Um, a lot of people in the county jail are not necessarily going to prison. You have people in the county jail that's just doing county jail stays. And so sometimes you will have people in the county jail who have gone to prison and will try to put themselves on a bigger pedestal, acting like, this is the way prison politics go, blah, blah, blah. And he was one of those dudes. And while he didn't gang bang, he used to always talk about the need for black unity, because once again up in there, it was probably about, I would say maybe about 8 to 10 more Southern Mexicans than it was blacks, So dudes was real upset about that, right? And another reason why they was upset, in the Riverside County Jail, we have vending machines. Now they had 2 vending machines. Now one vending machine sold things like, Snickers, cookies, chips, candy bars, hygiene, toothpaste, hair grease, shampoo, razors, combs, things of that nature. The other vending machines sold soda and coffee. And so the way these vending machines would work, when you come to jail, they would give you it's like a ID, and the ID of course had like a magnetic strip on the back, and you could run your card through the machine and purchase whatever item that you wanted to purchase. Well, somewhere up in there one day, Dennis happened to lose his car. I don't even know if he realized he had lost it or whatever. Though later on in the day, a white dude had brought him back his car, said, "Hey man, here's your card," or whatever. So when he went over there to go check his books, when he went to go check his books, it was maybe about $8 or $10 missing or something like that, right? So of course, Dennis became highly irate. He starts barking, at the white dude and stuff. So when some of the brothers see what's going on, they go over there, they support him. So now when the brothers come over there, to my understanding, what I'm told later, because all this happened before I even got up in there, Dennis really went to barking. Then once he seen the brothers come get his back, he went to barking, talking, got his hand all in the white dude's face, and the dude is telling him, "Hey man, I didn't spend your money," all right, whatever. So eventually, the other white dudes that was in there, they came over there, they got involved in the situation. They told the brothers that we'll handle it. And so they went and talked to the white dude, I guess, and some other dudes up in there had put him up to returning the car. So they end up, taking care of the white dudes, beat him up or whatever. So you had a lot of brothers who had been in there at that point in time. They was upset because they felt like, they had Dennis's back when he got into a situation, and when the other brothers got into a situation, he was nowhere to be found. So they was like, "Okay, yeah, man, we fist to get dude tonight after dinner." So eventually around 4:30, whatever, we locked up for dinner. We came out, we had the dinner. They locked us back down for everybody to clean up and all that stuff. Then we was released around 6:30 or 7 o'clock, right? So before, now they had a couple of dudes up in there. I believe it was like 2 Bloods actually in a crib designated to go, put the boops and the bops on Dennis. So eventually somebody went over there to talk to Dennis and like, "Hey man, what's up? Why, when we had that little standoff or whatever, you didn't come over there?" Once again, Dennis reiterated his position. It was like, "Oh man, well, it wasn't really nothing going on, man. And I seen y'all had it. I knew y'all was gonna take care of the situation. Plus, homie, I got court tomorrow, and I think I'm going home, and I didn't want to get caught up in the situation." You know what I'm saying? And so, when the dude who was talking to him came back and reported that, dudes really wanted to get him because they felt like, okay, we had your back in the situation, you know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, when the other brothers get into a situation, you know where to be found, and you talking about, you trying to go home, you get ready to go to court tomorrow, or whatever, right? And so, like I said earlier, they had already designated some dudes around his height and size to go over there and put hands on him. And these dudes were definitely around his height. Like I said, Dennis did have a little, he was a slim, but he had a nice little muscular build on him. Plus, he'd always talking about how he'd been to the pen. This is the way prison politics works, so on and so forth. So like I say, sometimes, they definitely want to send enough dudes to handle the job, right? So when they went over there, they went to holler at him, kind of walked him into one of them blind spots, and I could tell, I'm watching, I'm curious, I'm looking. I could tell he kind of knew what was going on. You could just see it in his body movements. He looking, he trying to position himself where dudes don't get behind his back. So they get him over there in the corner. They go to talking to him. Boop, pop, boop, boop, pop, boop, pop, boop. They go to hitting him with lefts and rights with all they mics. You know what I'm saying? Boop, pop, boop, pop, boop. The boops and the bops seem like they were never gonna stop, man. I mean, they own him. They beating him. Boop, pop, boop, pop, boop. That was one of the more ferocious beatings that I seen a dude receive, right? And so it got to the point where dude is starting to holler, okay, I'll leave, okay, I'll leave, okay. They own him, they didn't got him on the ground, they busting him up, he got his feet kicking and flailing, they kicking him and stuff. Now, good for him is, good thing for Dennis in the county jail, they don't, they give you those little like rubbery type of flip-flop type of shoes, so the kicks really wasn't doing no damage, and the dude is on his back with his feet flailing, he's spinning and stuff, and this beating went on for, it seemed like 2 or 3 minutes, man. They was busting him up, he's screaming, okay, I'll leave, okay. So eventually they finally get up off the dude. The dude, he get himself, he get his wits about him, then he staggers over there to they got like a little a sliding glass door that's right in front of that partition that the guard sits in front of. So he goes over there. They got a little intercom button. He hits the intercom button, basically telling, man, I got to get up out of here. I fear for my safety, whatever, whatever he says. So they take him into the hallway. He disappeared. Maybe about an hour later, the guards open. The door open. 3 or 4 guards come up in there, and they call the dude's they call his full name. They say, hey, man, where is Dennis's, I don't want to put his last name out there, but they say, where is his property, man? Where is his stuff at? What cell he was in? So, whoever he was in the cell with at the time, take him over there, get a dude, give him whatever property dude had and stuff, and dude, they walked that stuff up out of there, and dude was gone. And so that was one of my first lessons that I learned, that, you have to be supportive of whatever collective you align yourself in, whether it's in prison or whether it's in the county jail. Because once again, out here in California, things are racially separated and segregated, and so especially when your folks, your people, your homies or whatever have your back on an issue pertaining to race or your collective, you definitely have to have their back as well, and so when they found out that old Dennis was soft as a marshmallow, and he was really more mouth than anything, they they put them lefts and rights on him, man. So I stayed in that tank maybe like a day or 2 later, and I weaseled my way over there into D3 where they had put the homie Stutterbox. But anyway, you already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.